Have you ever noticed something strange about the way you handle money? You know you should probably invest. You've read about it, you've watched videos, you might even have some savings sitting quietly in your account. But every time you think about actually making a move, you pause. You tell yourself, I'll do it later. I need to learn more first. I don't want to make a mistake. So the money just sits there, month after month, year after year. And the confusing part is this. You're not lazy, reckless, or irresponsible. You're trying to be careful, yet somehow that carefulness keeps you stuck. If this feels familiar, it's not because you're bad with money. It's because there's a hidden fear quietly controlling most of your financial decisions. And once you see it clearly, everything starts to make sense. Most people assume their biggest money problem is income. They believe that if they just earned more, everything would feel easier. But look around. Plenty of people earn more than they did 5 years ago and still feel anxious about money, still hesitate, still overthink, still feel behind. So what's really happening? To understand that, we need to look at how your brain reacts to money decisions. Your brain did not evolve to make you wealthy. It evolved to keep you alive. Deep inside your brain is a structure called the amygdala. Its job is simple: detect danger and protect you. Thousands of years ago, danger meant predators, hunger, and physical harm. Today, your brain treats financial loss in a similar way. When you imagine losing money, your brain reacts as if something bad is happening to you right now. Stress hormones like cortisol spike, your body tightens, your thinking narrows. That's why money decisions often feel emotional, even when the numbers are small. From a biological standpoint, loss feels more dangerous than missed opportunity. This leads to a psychological effect called loss aversion. Losing money feels roughly twice as painful as gaining the same amount feels good. So when you face a money decision, your brain doesn't ask, what's the smartest long-term move? It asks, how do I avoid feeling pain right now? And the easiest way to avoid pain is to do nothing. Doing nothing feels safe, it feels calm, it feels responsible. But here's the trap.
Financially, doing nothing is still a decision. When money sits still, inflation quietly erodes it. Opportunities pass. Compounding never starts. But because there's no immediate discomfort, your brain rewards you with relief. This is why intelligent, careful people often stay stuck longer than reckless ones. Not because they lack knowledge, but because their fear is disguised as caution. Here's where the problem deepens. Over time, fear doesn't just affect one decision. It shapes your entire money identity. You start saying things like, I'm not an investor. I'm just not good with money. I don't want to mess things up. But notice something important. You're not afraid of losing money alone. You're afraid of what losing money means. You're afraid of regret, of feeling stupid, of blaming yourself. Money becomes tied to self-worth. So your brain chooses safety over progress, certainty over growth, comfort over momentum. This is how people end up in a strange place, financially stable, but financially stuck. They earn, they save, they wait, years go by, and one day they realize the fear they trusted quietly cost them time. Now, here's the turning point most people never reach. Wealthy people don't lack fear. They interpret fear differently. Instead of asking, what if this goes wrong? They ask, what happens if I never start? Instead of trying to avoid mistakes entirely, they design systems where mistakes are small, survivable, and educational. They understand something crucial. Money grows through exposure, not certainty. You don't build confidence by waiting. You build confidence by acting small and repeating. This is why the first step matters more than the perfect strategy. When you start with small amounts, the financial risk is limited, but the psychological benefit is massive. You stop imagining outcomes and start experiencing them. Markets become familiar instead of scary. Volatility becomes noise instead of danger. Fear weakens when uncertainty becomes familiar. This is also why many people who inherit or suddenly receive money still struggle. They skip the learning phase. They haven't trained their emotional response to money decisions. Meanwhile, people who start small often become calm, disciplined investors over time. Not because they're smarter, but because they built tolerance. So how do you break this cycle if fear has been running your decisions? First, you stop trying to eliminate fear. That's impossible. Instead, you shrink its influence. You do this by lowering the emotional stakes. That means starting with money you can afford to feel uncertain about, money that won't ruin your sleep.
It means choosing boring, simple strategies instead of exciting ones, because excitement amplifies fear. It means separating learning from performance. Your early goal is not to make money. It's to become someone who can handle money decisions calmly. Second, you replace the question your brain keeps asking. Instead of, what's the safest choice, you ask, what's the smallest step that moves me forward? Small steps bypass fear. They don't trigger your survival instincts. They build momentum quietly. Third, you change how you define failure. Failure is not losing money. Failure is staying frozen. A small loss that teaches you something is progress. Perfect caution that keeps you stuck is not. This mental shift is what unlocks everything. Once fear stops dominating your decisions, money becomes less emotional. Choices become clearer. Time starts working in your favor, not because you suddenly got rich, but because you finally allowed compounding to begin. So if you've been waiting, overthinking, telling yourself you'll start when you're ready, understand this. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not irresponsible. You've just been listening to a brain that prioritizes safety over growth. Once you see that, you gain power. You don't need to be fearless. You need to be intentional. Progress beats perfection. Movement beats waiting. And the moment you choose small action over comfortable hesitation, your financial story starts to change. Quietly, gradually, but for real. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. What's the one money decision you've been avoiding and why? And if you want more simple, honest conversations about money psychology and practical finance, subscribe to the channel. Because understanding money isn't about numbers, it's about understanding yourself.